What's up, everybody? Welcome
Hey.
to Adobe Live. I am here with my friend Jacob. My name is Paco Siller, and I will be your host for today's live stream. We're going to be doing some Premiere Pro editing. Jacob's going to show us all that. We're going to highlight some new features that just came out with Max. But before we get into that, Jacob, you want to say hey to our friends?
Hello, everybody. It's so great to be on Adobe Live. I've been working behind the scenes with Paco, and we actually just got back from Adobe Max. We
We
were
did,
having
yeah.
the best of times over there.
It was. I got a cool little photo of us. Check it out behind the scenes. So we were just in Adobe Max all last week, and then Jacob and I were running a lot of the productions. And in case you all don't know, Jacob and I are usually the ones behind the scenes running a lot of these productions, but we come from the same background. We're video pros. We've been working with video for many years. And yeah, it's actually great to host you, my friend. I know we work a lot behind the scenes, but this time we're in front of the scenes.
I know we're live and center. It's always fun because we have a lot of different like video skills. Like you yourself, Paco, like you know it all, you know? So it's cool. There's a lot of new features in Premiere 2024. I downloaded it after Max, and then I spent the weekend checking it out and seeing what else is new and what we can kind of take away from it and making workflows faster, things like that.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to get into it. And just a heads up, friends, I just got a dog and he's chewing right next to me. So if there's any chewing next to, or you can hear it in your ears, let me know. I set up a little Ansel cam so I can debut him. Check it out. There he is. Ansel! Ansel, say what's up. Say what's up, Ansel. Okay, well, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
I'm going to get him riled up
Dog
before
cam.
this.
We
Dude.
need dog cam.
More dog cams
Uh,
on Adobe Live.
yeah. You know what? You'll probably see my dogs like hopping on this couch or something like that, like
When they
later
get
in
in
the
there, I'll go
stream.
full
So
screen. But anyways, enough about me. This is Jacob's show, so I'm gonna have him get into it. But real quick before we do that, I am looking at the chat as always. This is a safe space. Go ahead and communicate with us. This is why we're live. It's a two-way street. So any questions you may have, feel free to pop them on Behance or YouTube. We're looking at both chats. All right. So Jacob, I'm gonna have you take it away, my friend.
beautiful. Well, my name is Jacob, and it's great to be here on Adobe Live. So I own a full service video production company based in San Jose, California, which is coincidentally where Adobe headquarters is as well. I actually was an intern at Adobe back in the day.
That's right. Way
So
back in the
that
day.
is how I got to know all the kind folks here at Adobe. But the main things that I work on are YouTube videos. And so the last stream or two streams ago was with Andrew Levitt. He is actually one of my really good friends, and we make YouTube videos together. So the stream that you saw last, I helped film probably like 80-90% of it. And Andrew handles all the editing. So those crazy timelines that you saw are all him. But I handle a lot of like the cinematography and stuff. But on top of making YouTube videos, I have like a full freelance business that includes like other videographers that I hire on for projects and things like that. And so that's everything from wedding videos, real estate, corporate videos, live streams like Adobe Live or Monster Energy, and then podcasts too. So that is my main spiel. And today I just wanted to kind of focus on what's going on new in Premiere Pro. And so I just took some examples of different videos that I have been working on, whether it be a year ago or just recently. And I just wanted to find different reasons that could maybe enhance our workflow moving forward, like just new tech that's there that's like, oh my gosh, we can actually use this now and it's faster. So I wanted to start with editing an interview using the text-based editing tool. It's been around for a year now, but Adobe added a couple extra new features, which are cool. I wanted to fix some bad wedding audio using the enhanced speech tool, which I wrote in my notes here that it's the Adobe podcast, but it's actually no longer just
That's
online.
right.
It's actually part of Premiere Pro Beta. So it is probably my favorite tool, and I'm so excited to just mess around with
The
it
feature is
today.
nuts. Yeah, if you all haven't tried it, even before it got implemented in Premiere, just through the podcast landing page. It's crazy. It's almost like too good. You're like, whoa, this
Yeah,
is
no,
nuts.
it's so good that you almost need to add like background
I
noise and
know,
like
yeah,
noise
yeah.
under it because it's like
It's
too
too
clean.
good.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, they did way too good of a job that I'm like, this is suspicious.
There's
We need to
something off
make
about it. Yeah,
we
you
need to
almost got
add
to
some
like put
background
in
noise. This isn't
reverb and
correct, right?
yeah, that's
I
funny.
wanted to look at a couple new features in the Lumetri Color tab. I have like a real estate video we can use for that. And if we get to it, we can edit a wedding video for social media.
Fun.
And then last but not least, new Frame IO camera to cloud. Cameras, it's actually, I have a client that I use only with camera to cloud, and it's really a cool up and coming technology. And when I was at Max, I was actually checking out some of the booths and learning some new things that have been going on with Frame IO and camera to cloud. So
Yeah, I'd
other
say
than that,
up and coming for sure. I think this whole camera to cloud thing that Frame.io is doing is really going to change how we do production on set. I mean, it's nuts. You know, I think they're starting it now, but yeah, you'll get a sneak peek on how that's all going, and you're gonna see what it's all about. It's crazy.
yeah.
Okay, Jacob, hold on, give me 1 second because I actually need to do something. So hold on. Okay, cool. Just had to enable a setting. All right, my friend, take us away.
Sounds good. Okay, so first video I'm working on, I made a video for the Community College of San Francisco. They had some new commercial development projects coming, and their campus, some of the buildings were like super decrepit, and they just got like millions of dollars in funding to just make their buildings more beautiful. They wanted to make a video kind of promoting that because the groundbreaking was going to start soon on those projects. I have like the final video here. I thought we'll just play like 30 seconds of it so you can get a gist. But it was a pretty involved video because of just the amount of interviews that we were filming. So hence text-based editing might come in handy.
Hi, my name is Bridget Davila, and I'm president of the Board of Trustees at City College San Francisco.
I'm John Rizzo, Vice President of the Board of Trustees at City College. 2 years ago, voters approved Proposition A, an $845 million bond measure.
Because many of our buildings were very run down, in need of renovation, or in many cases, just not worth repairing anymore.
We are one of the old.
So that's the gist of it. It's not the most exciting video, but it's really important because obviously $845 million is going into these new buildings.
That's a lot of money.
It is a ton of money. And the thing is we had to record just like so many interviews with different boards of trustees and everything along those lines. And all of those people that I was filming, like this guy that we saw, you know, they don't really talk to the camera that often, you know? So one of the big things that you'll notice when talking or when watching some of this playback is the amount of time they say, and in the new text-based editor, you can actually sort by just all the ums that's going on and kind of just get a feel for, you can just delete all the ums that you want.
That's such a lifesaver. I mean, if we've all done video production before, those of you who've had, I mean, that's half of the editing process, right? Is taking out filler words like, like, and the fact that you could just do that like that, man, making our lives easier.
Yeah, and it's a feature I didn't have a year ago working on this, or maybe it had just come out, I hadn't even heard about it. And then now that it's kind of polished, I'm like thinking back and watching this video thinking, wow, we can literally search the keywords that were in the final video, and we can we can just find what they're talking about and pull whatever we need to make our own Frankenstein edit, you know.
Absolutely. And just get a little technical, Jacob. What did you shoot this on? And I see you got 4 tracks. So how did you record the audio?
Cool. Yeah. So we recorded the audio internal to a Canon C70. So it has 4 tracks audio. So usually the top 2 tracks are scratch audio, meaning that it's coming from either the internal camera or like a shotgun microphone on top. And then the 2 bottom tracks are usually XLR inputs. So that means that it's like a boom mic that's like overhead, that's right above John's head right here that we cropped out. Um, and yeah, so that's why there's 4 tracks. It's a Canon C70, one of my favorite cameras to shoot on. The colors are absolutely just like right out of camera, just chef's kiss.
Yes, chef's kiss. We used to shoot on a C300 back in my studio days, and same thing. I mean, quick turnarounds, right? Because the colors off those cameras just looked chef's kiss, as you said.
Yeah, well, nowadays, everything, I mean, if you're like an online creator in any capacity, everything is quick turnaround, right? So like you really just need to have something that's fast. And so like Sony has like a S Cinetone profile. So instead of full log, it's just S Cinetone. And it is just incredible because right out of camera, you just add a little saturation, contrast, and it looks phenomenal.
Oh, so you don't have to put a LUT on that profile.
No, you can put
Just
like
a
a
little bit of
creative
tweaking?
LUT. You can put like a creative LUT on, but
That's awesome. I didn't know that. And is that recording at 10-bit or 8-bit?
that's recording 10-bit. So that's
Wow.
Sony S Cinetone, if you want to look
Very
it up.
cool.
And it's on pretty much every camera that Sony ships now is S Cinetone. So I already made like a text-based editing sequence, but I wanted to do it again because I wanted to just show how you do it. So I have this one recording that we have of John, and you know, just to make it prettier, I have like a adjustment layer that we can throw on because no one wants to stare at gray log footage.
Okay. And is this a Rec 709 LUT, or is this just you tweaking on the Lumetri Color?
This is a Rec 709 LUT, but it's from this guy Tyler Stallman. It's a S-Log 2. This guy, he's like a YouTuber, but I trust his colors. I think they're actually really nice. And then there might be a creative LUT on. No, there's not. But by creative LUT, I mean you have a Rec 709 LUT right here, and then you also have you can add a creative LUT to add just a little bit more pop to your shot, whatever you're feeling, kind of thing. So
Nice.
and that's actually something in the new Lumetri Color panel. I guess we're hopping around all the features right now, but that's this little settings tab. So this is brand new. And you can put your input Rec 709 LUT into your file now directly. So you're not even dealing with the normal Lumetri tab anymore. So that can be helpful just if you want to focus on like the grade and like having like a creative LUT. You can deal with that all in this edit tab, and you can just put a regular log to Rec 709 LUT in that. And if I'm speaking complete gibberish, let me know.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if this all makes sense or you want us to kind of backtrack. Of course,
Yeah.
Jacob and I talk shop, so I know what he's talking about, but for people that don't work in video production, that could sound kind of crazy. But just looking at the chat, I see Umacorn, James, I see Curtis, Robert, Jack. Thank you so much for joining us all. James had a pretty cool comment. See, he says, super stoked to see these visionaries share their wisdom to the world. Thank you, James. Likewise to you. James Banana was actually just live with us in Pro Tips, and he, I would say, is the visionary in the video world. Does great content and similar stuff that we do.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a visionary, but thank you, James. I liked your last stream. I was tuning in. You were bold, and he was in the beta premiere. I was a little nervous to be in there. I wasn't really sure. I wanted to use just Premiere 2024. So it looks like even though I made a new sequence, it still kept my transcription that I had from that I had previously generated. So that's actually super helpful if you're ever just like, oh, I'm going to start a new sequence or whatever. Like you don't have to wait for your transcription to load. So typically you just go and get your files into a sequence, and there's just a brand new tab right here that's called text-based editing. And so once that pops up, there usually is a little transcribe button right here, and it says, hey, we actually need to spend a couple seconds transcribing all your new tools, things like that. So when you click on that, it generates this big block of text. The cool thing is that we have all these little dots, and that's all the different times that John Either I was talking to John to direct him on what to say, or he just maybe was silent. And that is something that takes so long as an editor when you're like, normally I would just look at the little waveform right here, and I would go in and I would just make a cut and say, okay, it looks like they're not talking there. Maybe I'm not going to watch that. Let me delete this and close that. But I mean, that's not really the most efficient way to do something. And when you're dealing with hours of footage, you're able to now just select all the different pauses. And what it's going to do is you can just delete.
There it is.
You can either delete all, and look at all these. There's I think it tells you there's 28 of them.
Yeah, I love how you call them ... That's what I'm gonna start calling them now. All these little ... dots. No, what you said, it's like, look at all these little ... dots, the pauses, because it's literally 3 dots.
Oh yeah, that's just that's humans loading when they pause in their speech. They're just ... dotting.
They're ... dotting. Yep, I love that. I'm gonna start using it now.
But yeah, I mean, it's just this is an incredible tool because we can click delete all and look at all the cuts it just made. I didn't even get a chance to see that. I'm gonna undo it just so we can do it again, because like it doesn't even load, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so quick. It's
one thing I
nuts.
haven't even got into experience yet in 2024 is that I guess the new Premiere is 5 times faster
5
than
times
it
faster.
used to
That's
be.
right. On the timeline.
And so I'm curious if that will because I mean it's brand new, so I'm curious how that will pass. But look at that. I hit delete all and it is completely gone. They got rid of all my ... dots.
And did it ripple delete too? So it got rid of the gaps, but did it ripple delete all the clips too, or do you still have that space?
Nope. There is not a single gap.
Sorry, I'm gonna take my dog out real quick because he's chewing his bone on my chair. So keep going, Jacob. I'm just gonna get him out of the door.
Okay, so in the beginning, you can, if I play it back, you'll actually hear it. It says, and whenever you're ready, go for it. You hear me. I say, okay, whenever you're ready, go for it. Okay, those are very common things in interviews where you're like, you have to talk to the talent, whoever's speaking, but you know that once you're filming it, you have to go into the editing and go scroll in and like kind of like play it back, and you can kind of look on the waveform that's when John starts talking. But when you can actually see me talk in the transcription right here. And so if I just select it, we're able to just delete it. And I just feel like that's such an incredible way to speed run editing, to the point that if we like took, let's take the final video, and find when he says like a line. I bet you we can just search for it in text-based editing.
Be a venue for the community to come and see performances of local arts groups.
Okay, so he says something about performances of local arts groups. So let's see if we can actually just go ahead and find that. Because that would be, and I'm just going back to all the interviews with John, because that other one just had, let's see, he said
local arts group.
Local arts. Performing Arts Center.
Arts Center.
Let's hear what he says again. I think I missed it.
Will also be a venue for the community to come and see.
Venue for the community.
Venue for the community. That's what I heard.
Yeah, right here.
There it is. Venue for the community. Let's go.
So, I mean, especially if you say had a producer on set that was taking notes of good things that an interviewer was saying, especially if you had a quick turnaround video, this would save you so much time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that you're just scrolling and playing back for like a moment, right? And it's like it's finding a needle in a haystack, quite literally. So having everything searchable is incredible.
Man, you kids have it so easy these days. I remember when I used to cut so many interviews back in 2015, 16, and that's all we did in our production house. And Yeah, I know the pain, man. I know the pain. Just kind of rewind. I was like, I think it was this clip, but it's not the clip, but it all looks the same because it's a static shot. Yeah, it's just so much efficient these days. I love it.
Yeah. So I kind of just wanted to hop around the stream, try some different projects. So I was thinking about just switching gears entirely and hopping into the beta version of Premiere.
Let's do it.
So there was a moment that I marked. Can find it. Oh, 1 second. I need to. My window's too big.
Okay.
Start.
No worries. And remember, for all of you tuning in, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up a little lower third right there. So make sure to check out
Boom.
bit.ly/Adobe Live YouTube. It is case sensitive, so make sure you're capitalizing those letters you see there.
That's so hard.
And yeah. Hey, and there's Valentina V. We actually hosted her at Max. She's on.
Yeah, we did.
tutorial.
And when we
kills it.
hosted her, I didn't realize that she was like the homepage of this whole of like the new tools.
Yeah, she is now.
cool.
So she's on the landing page. Every time there's a new release, there's a cover artwork, a landing page, or new features. And yes, Valentina V made it. She's worked on Adobe Live quite a bit of times, and she is amazing. Someone, so she was being hosted, and someone had a really good question. So I feel like she's this Premiere Pro expert, where they're like, oh, if I want to look something up, let me just go check out some Valentina V content. And the host said, when you want to know how to find things, where do you go? Right? Because if she's at the top of the food chain, or you're always looking at her for work, where does she go to learn stuff? So I thought that was really funny. I forgot what she said. I think she looked up some other YouTuber that's also very, very knowledgeable in Premiere.
Yeah. Who do we go? We go to Jason Levine. He probably knows all.
Exactly. Then where does Jason Levine go if he needs to learn things?
I don't know.
That's like
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either.
Where does the knowledge accumulate? I mean, I did watch like a
Where's So
highlight
Zero?
reel. I watched like a highlight reel on Adobe's channel of like the new features. So maybe they get it from there but then it seems like a lot of trial and error, like playing around with the features, right?
Yeah. We do have a question from YouTube whenever you're ready. I'm gonna fire it away.
Yeah, what's up?
Let's see. We got a question. Can you get rid of the white noise on the traffic in the background?
I think that might have been the music track.
Yeah, probably from let's see.
Art Center. It's a theater project that will not only train our students to be artists and behind the scenes technicians, but it will
sounds like the music, but nonetheless, I am about to bring John's speech into Adobe Enhance. So we will see how it improves, because there's a take where someone just walks right behind him. I'll play it right now. Let me full screen it. Oh. I can turn it up a little higher.
The awkward pause where you're just like, we're rolling here.
I wanted to film in like a hallways, so that way we're like in it to kind of show off the campus. But obviously, when you don't film in like enclosed settings, you're going to deal with a lot of background noise. So I turned up the audio.
and making all this possible.
Oh, is that not it? Oh my gosh, there's so many people. I think this was like a bookstore behind him. Yeah, this person had pretty...
Students and to San Francisco residents. Too noisy?
Okay.
I love that.
So he says it's too noisy, right?
I mean, you could hear it. Yeah, I mean, those little footsteps. Wait, was it? Did you capture that on a shotgun microphone? Is that how you heard it?
No, that was on the boom mic.
On the boom mic. Wow.
I think. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure all these
Big
channels.
benefit to our students and to San Francisco residents.
That's like even louder on that channel.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
So, you know, obviously I made him retake the shot. That's why he said too loud, because I was kind of being like, hey, we're in a busy environment. I need you to retake this shot. But what if we live in a world where you don't have to do that? So let's go ahead and click. We are in the Essential Sound tab under Audio, and we are going to select that what we are looking at is dialogue. and Adobe Enhance is right inside Premiere now. I
There it
cannot tell
is.
you how many times I have logged on to, let me find it, Adobe Podcast AI tool. This tool,
Yeah.
I would go to this website and I would
Right.
scroll right here to go to enhanced speech, and I would export this little clip, and I would go in and I would choose files, and it would enhance online. And I was like, this is the coolest tool ever. I can't wait for them to implement it. And what did they do?
And
They
we're here.
implemented it.
We're here
So
now. They
that is
implement.
what we're doing.
Yeah. So instead of having to do that whole workaround, it's right here in Premiere. And check it out. One click. Literally just a click.
One
We're
click.
seeing it enhancing. And remember, we had
And
those
the
footsteps
beautiful
in there.
thing, yeah, you get to kind of toggle it on and off too, which is awesome to kind of just hear before and after.
Yeah, and I think for that person on YouTube that asked that question, I think this is the answer. So let's say we did want to get rid of some of that noise in the background. You could essentially run this, and it could clean it up, and it most likely will. And Reverb
All right,
Mike,
ready?
I see you in the chat. He actually uses it to remove traffic noise all the time. So all right, let's hear the result.
Okay. All right. Should I say, and finally, or no?
Right here.
And most of all, I want to thank the voters of San Francisco for passing Proposition A and making all this possible. This will be a great benefit to our students and to San Francisco residents.
Not the best. It could be
It's
a
a
little,
little
bit better.
there. Yeah.
I have a great example of it actually working. So
Yeah,
you
and you
can
could
actually
always
toggle the
tweak.
amount.
Yeah, you could tweak
So-
it in or out.
Let's see how much this is.
Go for passing Proposition A and making all this possible. This will be a great benefit to our students and to San Francisco residents.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, you just had to
Too
turn it
noisy?
up.
Yeah, so right there it got rid of it. So we
That-
just had to
that-
tweak that a little bit more.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean,
crazy.
it's like too much. Like I said, you have to add some background tone. Like sometimes or almost always, if I don't forget, I record what's called room tone. So after an interview, I have the speaker just kind of pause wherever he's standing, and we get 10 seconds of room tone. And so that is just regular ambient noise in that environment that we could then lay over a track like this. And that will come in really, really clutch. So that way it doesn't sound like a podcast, because him talking right now sounds like a podcast. It's crazy. It sounds like we're indoors with like sound panels all around us.
Right.
Great benefit to our students and to San Francisco residents.
And that's awesome.
So that's all. That's
Too
crazy.
noisy?
Crazy. Yeah, I was gonna say it almost sounds like he's recording it in a voiceover booth, and obviously we're outside, so that's what we were talking about. Like, it almost works too well, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like this is like professional, like sound booth recording, but obviously looking at the video, that's not where they're at. So that's why you kind of got to introduce some of that noise that initially we want now, but you know, you gotta make it match the scene, so to say.
Totally. So I have another fun example, and you know, it's hilarious. I got a little worried there that it didn't even work, because I literally just had so much faith in this thing that I didn't even test the walking in the background. I was like, oh, there's no way it wouldn't get that, and it did. You just had to turn it up higher. So I like that there's an adjustable slider now. In this old tool, it was just, I think it was at max, at
Right.
like whatever 10 was on the Adobe Enhance or the Premiere Enhance tool. So I like that there's a slider now, because that can help with like, you just want to get a little bit better. And so this is a good example. I have a wedding ceremony, and wedding ceremonies are always tricky with audio, because you're dealing with a lot of annoying environments. You're dealing with a DJ who sometimes doesn't know like how to properly like mic people. And so normally I have to like have a backup audio channel that's on the groom right here. The problem is you can't really mic up a bride, because it's just like, it's all about their wedding dress. You don't want to like put a giant like lavalier microphone on them, and like where do
You got to think
where
about
do you
the
put it?
photographs too, right? I mean, I've run into that. It's like the wedding dress, it's all about that. But if you have a huge black lavalier mic with like a sound filter, then yeah, they're not gonna like that.
Exactly. And so that's one of the problems, is you can see that the priest is holding the microphone to her. But the groom actually has a lavalier mic that I put on as a backup. And I also put a backup on the priest right here. The thing is, the bride, who arguably one of the most important people of the wedding, we're not going to get the best audio. So let's just take a listen of her reading her vows and see if we can fix it up.
Feel that way for me. I feel our journey isn't just beginning today. We're just really continuing to grow what we started. It started through an introduction from a friend. When you asked me to visit you, 8,400. Deep down, I've always known. All
There's
I've
the
ever
wind.
felt for you is love.
I hear it.
When I look at you,
So that's almost bordering unusable right there with
Yeah.
the wind. And so I am curious. So let's make our little marker. We're going to hit dialogue. I'm gonna hit enhance.
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 Where were you shooting that off the coast of California somewhere? Is that why it was so windy? Looks like Sonoma-ish area. or Point
No,
Reyes.
well, it was on the coast. It was in Carmel.
Carmel. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I can play a bit of the final video I have where it's not in log footage and looks pretty. It was actually a beautiful wedding. I have some fun drone shots in it, things like that.
Got the whole package. And are you doing this as a one-man band, or do you usually have like a second shooter or someone else helping you out?
So this is my smallest package that is just me or
Wow.
another videographer like on my team. But I also have packages. All my other packages have a second videographer. So it just kind of depends how busy the day is. Typically, when a wedding is all in one place, like the reception, the ceremony, they're all in one place. There's not as much running around. So usually one videographer can handle it. When it's like, oh, we need to drive here, where someone's getting ready over here, where the bride's getting ready over, it's like, then you definitely
You need a
need
second,
two people. Sometimes you
sure.
need three. So anyway, it is all complete. Let's give it a little
All
listen.
right, let's hear it.
We have it at 7% amount.
Okay.
on one knee, and you asked me to spend the rest of your life with you.
Okay, we still hear it.
Hear a little
I
bit.
tried to
yeah.
pinpoint when I felt that moment when I knew I was falling in love, but I can't quite remember an exact day or moment because I don't remember a time.
Okay, let's bring it up just a tad.
It's done a pretty good job already, though. I mean, you can hear
I'm
the
gonna-
wind subtly, but I mean, it's definitely toned it down more than the original clip.
I'm going to toggle it on and off while we're playing.
I didn't love you. Deep down, I've always known.
Yeah.
All I've ever felt for you is love.
Okay, let's max
When
it
I
out.
look at you,
And now
I
it's
feel
gone.
grateful that you
Now it's
entered
gone.
my life, and that I have the best friend, the best person I get to build our dreams together with. I see how people are with you.
Wow, that's so
That's crazy.
All right,
It
I'm gonna
works.
I'm gonna
These
turn it
are
off.
People
real
are
case
different
scenarios
when
here.
you're there. Hopefully they're just as funny.
Okay. And then it's gone.
Gone.
It's just
But
like that.
looking back at our time together,
Then
I
it's
see
back.
the favorite parts of my past, and
I think why it makes me so excited is like these are people's like most important day of their life, right? That they hire me to capture, but
Right.
there's so many elements of that day that could go wrong or just are out of my control. Like I'm not God, I don't control the wind. And the fact that there's technology now that can actually make someone's wedding video like seem like even more perfect than it was is very, very cool to me. I'm
Yeah,
very
I
excited
agree.
with that.
There's some things that are out of your control that you're just like, well, yeah, you can't. I mean, it's funny. Like I always think of the people are like, fix it in post, and there are some things that you can fix in post. I always say don't rely on them, but these are things that we're saying we can't control the wind because we're not the wind god. So the fact that you can get that out of the finished footage, even though it's something that was out of our control, is nuts to me. And again, this is a real case scenario. I mean, this is a client Jacob was getting paid for, something you couldn't control, and boom, fixed, enhanced.
Yeah. I when you talk to video people, I mean, even photography people, a wedding photographer, for example, it's always like, oh, we can Photoshop that out, right? And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that would be ideal. Obviously, we can Photoshop it out. Video, it gets a little bit more muddy. Some of the Adobe sneaks though actually had some really cool ideas for that. So like when I'm shooting these weddings, there's like fire extinguishers in the background and stuff like that. And they're things that usually like my girlfriend will point out to me, like, you can't use this shot. There's a fire extinguisher in the back. Like it's red. It looks horrible. And I'm like, there's no other option. Like this venue just has to have exit signs and fire extinguishers. And there's like an Adobe sneak that you could, just like Photoshop, take out like background things in video.
Yeah, you can kind of already do that. So Photoshop has a video feature, a timeline. But essentially you can, if you have a static plate, and when I mean a plate, it's like, let's say you're not a moving camera, it's on a tripod, it's not moving anywhere. And let's use that fire extinguisher reference. You can bring that frame into Photoshop, and then you can gen fill it. So you can use Gen AI to get rid of it. And then you can bring that static plate into your video, and essentially fix it up. But again, it only works on a static, but that workaround, again, you have to bring in Photoshop, but what they sneaked in is it might be available in Premiere, so we don't have to bring it into Photoshop, which would be crazy. You know, at some point, it's probably going to be like motion tracked at this point, then you can have it moving cameras.
Well, because then if it is, even if it is a static camera on a tripod, you can start to think about how to film your video in the correct way.
Yes.
To where you would be like, oh, I just need to get this shot standing still. And you don't even need a tripod. You could say, take this shot. It's on a gimbal. You could go into the editing panel, and you could put warp stabilizer on this, because you'll notice while she's talking, there's not much movement. So you could warp stabilize that clip. And if you go to no motion, it essentially acts as a tripod on that clip. And so in that fire extinguisher example, say instead of a beautiful like ocean background, you could no motion that clip and then go into Photoshop and take that thing out. And you know, those are just all tools that are readily available to us right now, which is really crazy. Because fix it in posts is starting to actually not become just a meme. It's actually starting to become in real life.
Oh, it's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's always been a meme, but you're like, wow, I really can fix it in post.
In the production world, it is for sure a meme when a client is like, you can just fix the audio, like you can fix the audio later, right? And it's like every audio guy ever would just like pull their hair out being like, no, we can't fix this in post. It has to sound good, like especially with audio. You have to nail audio. And that's why you always want to record audio lower than higher, because you have a lot more latitude bringing it up so it doesn't peak than you do if it was peaking. And you talk to any audio professional and they're like, we can't fix it in post. This audio sounds horrible. It's messed up. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but with Adobe Podcast, it'll make it better. I remember
it honestly does, because it creates like an AI generated. I've done it before, and you can create like an AI generated voice of or that's what it kind of does. Like it's not using your like exact voice. You can kind of tell it's like making its own.
Right.
And so it takes out the peaking in some cases, especially if it's not like peaking a lot, like every once in a while it's peaking. It kills the harshness of it, which actually makes it usable content, which I've had to do plenty of times in weddings.
There was, man, I had this nightmare scenario on set. We were shooting a commercial for Twitch with Honda, and it was the first time I was using a certain recorder, and it was one of those Zoom ones when you hit the red button, it starts flashing red, and you're like, it's recording, but it's not actually recording. It's just on standby. You have to hit record again, and then the button goes solid red. So for the whole day, I thought I was recording audio, but it turns out I never recorded a single track. And it's one of those things where my heart just sank, and I'm like, I messed this whole shoot up. Luckily, we had a backup and we made it work through some Audio Pro just did magic. But if I had Adobe Podcast, we could have just made it work.
Seriously.
Just like that, in the snap of a finger.
Like a lot of these things, you're just realizing like if I went back in time, we could solve those problems. I think I have a problem coming up with someone that shot a wedding for me, and it was in Tahoe, and it was like raining, and I think the audio was just destroyed. And I'm in the middle of working on that project right now, and I'm excited to pull it into Adobe Premiere Pro and make it salvageable, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, these are very important moments to people. It's the
I
most
know. It's
important
one of
day
their
of
most
your life.
important days. Yeah, exactly. And they're paying some good
So,
money for it, so we got to get it right. Yeah,
yeah,
Reverb Mike saying,
totally.
always use your headphones. I did have my headphones on and it was playing audio. It's just the way this funny little recorder did. So, anyways, nice learning thing. I feel like, when you're starting out, you always have these nightmare scenarios and you're like, no. But yeah, I always bring my own recorder on set, so I never use someone else's.
Yeah, you got to trust the gear that you're using.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when you rent something, you should rent the
You
gear
test it.
like
Yeah,
a
rent the
day
gear
ahead
and
of time.
exactly. Make sure you know how to use that gear so something like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, like even when I rent a camera that I've used before in the past, I always rent it a day earlier
Yeah.
to make sure that those settings aren't like nothing is different than when I used it
Right.
last, because all it takes is like one setting to completely derail your shoot.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had that happen before and you learn from your mistakes of like, okay, no, you always need to test like that camera stuff.
Yep.
And
Pro tips, my friends.
yeah.
All right, Jacob, just a quick time check. We got about, I'd say 40-ish minutes. So got a little bit more time. What else do we want to jump into?
So we are gonna go into a real estate video now. Really exciting over here.
Yeah.
But these are all just real life examples that there's plenty of videographers out there that do this or want to get into it. And so this is a video I made a while ago. I'll play like the first 30 seconds of it.
Okay.
I think I made it a year or two ago. But I wanted to use it because I actually shot the same house with my iPhone, and I wanted to play it back to back and kind of see if you can actually shoot your phone, a house with an iPhone these days.
Resting in the valley of the Santa Cruz Mountains lies Los Gatos, an affluent community known best for its isolated charm from the rest of Silicon Valley. Driving around, there's a newly built home that's an entertainer's dream. Temporary property off Linda Avenue offers a rare combination of privacy, access, and community.
All right, so that's the vibe. And that
That's
was
the
not
vibe.
shot on my
I
iPhone.
like it.
That was shot on my regular camera. But I actually shot the exact thing on my iPhone. So let's go ahead and find it.
At it. And then in the meantime, Reverb Mike is saying a coworker once brought back a full day of video all out of focus. ... The horror. That does sound like a nightmare scenario, my friend. What was the solution? Was it unusable footage? Were you able to salvage it somehow? Did you have to reshoot? I feel like at that point you'd have to reshoot it. I don't think there's like a Gen AI refocus my shot yet.
Yeah. Out of focus that's the scariest one, man.
Oh man.
Because you're so close to it being perfect and it's just a little soft, like you're like,
I
oh my
know.
goodness.
I always, when I have big clients like that, I always bring an external monitor because I mean, you think you can look at those little, like if your camera has a little flip monitor out, it's just, I'm telling you, it's just a tiny little thing that just a little hair out of focus, you'll notice it. So make sure you have a nice external monitor or just have peaking on, Peaking is a good one.
I'm just adding a beautiful LUT for while we work on this.
There you go, making the footage pop.
Usually they are installed right away. I had some very gnarly technical difficulties.
What are you shooting this on? Is it your GH6?
Yeah, so this is a Vlog L to natural LUT. If you need it, I think it's Newman Films. It's a nice LUT.
Nice.
The
Reverb Mike says reshoot. I think at that point that's your option. You just gotta reshoot it. Expensive mistake, I'm sure, but I'm sure it's the last time that was made.
Seriously. Okay, so we installed the LUT, and I always like adding a creative LUT as well. That could be lately. I like this like Maryland LUT.
Nice. You got a lot of LUTs, I noticed, man. Do you like to shop around a lot for different looks and kind of make your own recipe of your own unique look?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to, and this doesn't look the best inside this house. It looks good like outdoors. But yeah, I like to play around with different LUTs, and it's really easy to add these all into your panel right here.
Right.
So that way you can just shop around and look. I had to completely start from scratch on my computer yesterday. So all my
I know
LUTs,
why.
sadly, thanks to Apple, my LUTs have gone away, but I will get them back. They're in a folder. So, but normally you can have them all right here, and it's really easy to just toggle between different looks that you want. And yeah, so this video was shot in 30 frames. So normally I would actually recommend shooting a real estate video in 60 frames. And if you watch part of that video, you'll see like it's kind of like fast paced, which the video itself was fast paced, but I would say most real estate style is shooting at 60 frames, slowing it down by 50%, and trying to get that look. So what I actually did to try and recreate that kind of slower look was and we have some audio. I'm gonna get rid of that. So that's Command L to unlink. Delete this audio because we don't want a bunch of audio of me walking around. So one of the things what was I talking about?
Talking about slowing down things. We were
yes,
it was
slowing down
50%,
things.
and
Thank
then-
you.
Yeah,
Memory man
I do
over
that
here.
all the time. You're like, wait, where was I going with this?
So with the footage, you'll see it says frame rate right here is 30 frames. So it's not really ideal for a real estate shoot. And that's kind of why I wanted to play around with this footage, because you oftentimes want 60 frames, like I was saying. So you can, to fake that, you can make sure your sequence settings and go into sequence settings are 23976. And you can actually go in, select all your clips, Command R, and slow them down by usually about 70%. So I usually do like 75%. You click OK, and then you drag them all on. And that's what I did right here.
Okay,
to make them.
so I didn't know you can time stretch from the bin. I always did it when I dragged it to the timeline.
Yeah, and it's such a time saver with
You just
B-roll.
taught me something new, my friend. Very
Yeah,
cool.
and it's like something that I learned like a year or two ago, and it like changed my life, because if you went in individually and slowed down each clip, when you do this all the time and you shoot B-roll on B-roll on B-roll that you all want slowed down, if you're just going one by one Command R-ing a clip, it takes forever. But now all your clips are slowed down, and it's a lifesaver. So in here, I did want to point out the new Lumetri Color tab. So I just by default was already just doing it how I normally do without even thinking. But there is the new tab over here. So over in settings,
There it is.
we have the input LUT. So when you're shooting in log, which most cameras nowadays shoot in log, the Apple iPhone 15 Pro shoots in log.
That's right.
now too.
Yep, that's a new feature.
So lots of things shoot in log. It's just a flat gray profile, and it basically records so that way it records a flatter image, so you have more dynamic range in post. So if you overexposed your shot, underexposed your shot, there's just way more flexibility in your image, even with white balance a little bit more than if you shot just with a natural take iPhone look that you would have. That's just built-in clarity, built-in saturation. It just all kind of looks a little too real, and like you just don't, it has to be recorded perfectly for it to look good, because if it's not recorded perfectly, there's not much leeway, and there are not many Adobe tools to help you. There's not an enhanced tool on not log footage, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, dude, give it 5 years, there's going to be like a logify feature or something.
Yeah, seriously. So, fun fact, you can add LUTs to your source clip.
All right.
If you were shooting an interview like I was in that last example, you'd be rolling for like hours, and you can have this whole look over here. And that means you're actually free to make any look that you want in your edit panel now. you're not taken up with different. Normally I would put my input LUT right here, and now you have it in here, so you have way more flexibility to just do what you need to do in the
Do you know if
Lumetri
you're
tab.
able to turn down the intensity of that Rec 709 LUT in that input slider? Like, you know how it says basic color correction, you can turn it down. Does that have the option?
You can do that in the creative tab. So
Right.
I like doing
The
this with
intensity,
like
yeah.
a creative LUT. So any like look that I had that this Maryland look. I like turning that down because look how horrible that looks,
Yeah,
right?
I do a lot of creative LUTs. I think off the bat, intensity 100% is a little too much. So I usually bring it down to like 20, 25%. 25% might even be a little too much, but yeah, I do the
Yeah,
same.
like this looks a little hot. We can bring down the
Mhm.
exposure. Let's find a shot at like the front of the house and do a similar thing. I think we have this. Yeah. So play that. This was, I think, before I had a better slider too. So you can see it's kind of shaky.
I was gonna ask, is this gimbal action or trying to go
this
handheld?
no, this is a gimbal, but it looks handheld, and I'm not really sure why. Typically, and we have to nest this clip if we're gonna put warp stabilizer on.
Yeah, because we time stretched it. So in Premiere, if you usually mess with the time stretching, it doesn't like you putting warped stabilizer. So make sure you nest it.
And so it's
that-
easy to fix, small shakes.
Yeah.
All you got to
that-
do. I just usually put 10% because it's really
Mhm.
not that big of a deal. And then while we're working on that, let's go ahead and do our input LUT that we need. Oh, and it remembered my LUT right there. That's perfect. That's exactly what we needed.
Look at that, making it pop.
Yeah, add some saturation. Fix that. Go into your curves.
A
I like
little
to
S
kinda, like,
curve.
make two little dots. You can bring this down right here. So this is like your darks. Make this pop a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So play around with it. And I think our warp is done. So this is like the front of the house. We're still analyzing. 20 seconds.
See, where is it at? Cool.
I might have
Yeah. No.
made my clip too long. It definitely doesn't need to be this long. This is like 30 seconds of this is a rookie warp stabilizer mistake right here, because you really only want to warp stabilize at the end of a project when you're working on it, so that way you
Oh man, I know that's what you're supposed to do, but I feel like when I'm making selects, I just warp stabilizer out of the fact just to be like, oh yeah, the shot looks good, because I want to know, but I know that's not really the best use of like a cut, because you want to do it at the end like you said, but I'm like, I want to make sure it looks good on wave stabilizer so I can make sure it's a select. Let's see.
Totally.
We got some comments in the chat. Robert saying, I did a video that my friend shot their high rotated the camera from landscape to portrait in the middle of the sequence. Oh, wow. Okay. So it sounds like he's saying that somebody was shooting a video and mid shot, they went from landscape to portrait.
wow.
Yeah.
That is more common than you think.
I mean, in today's world, right, with just how much stuff needs to be portrait. I mean, we all know this now, but I remember when we were kind of shifting, like I did a lot of video gigs back in the day, and it was always landscape, and it was just the cardinal sin to shoot stuff in portrait, because that, people just didn't really have smartphones like they do today. And it's, it happens a lot too. And I even see people a lot of times shooting a camera, they're holding it vertically, because that's just, you got to think about where the input's going to be. Is it going to be on mobile? So that's a good thing to ask your clients when you're shooting something. It's like, what's the output? Like, is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be vertical? Just so so you can center things, right? Get them in frame.
I mean, it's so many different things, and some newer cameras now, they shoot what's called open gate. So it's a square 4x3 video. And so it's probably, I mean, to visualize, like instead of 16:9, which is this input, if I were to make a screenshot, it would be like this.
So wait, are you shooting 16:9, but it's only keeping in mind that
it would be like this
square?
Yeah. So OpenGate records with the full sensor of your camera, but instead of shooting in 16:9, it records like this. So then
like
you're actually able to crop in whichever way you want. So if you wanted to make something
Oh.
vertical, you have a lot more latitude like on the top and bottom because you have this part. And then if you wanted to do 16:9, you can crop top or bottom too.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look into. I rarely shoot portrait, just because let's say I'm shooting 4K 16:9, I can turn 16:9 into 9:16, you know. But you can't do the reverse. Like you can't turn 9:16 into 16:9 because you lose all that stuff on the sides. But I like the open gate. It seems like it's the best of both worlds right there.
Yeah. So while that's working, I kind of wanted to just take a look at this iPhone footage, see what we can grade. So,
Okay. This is your iPhone footy?
Yeah, this is my iPhone footage. I don't even think this is the newest phone. This is from like
Looks
a
pretty
year.
good.
This is probably like an iPhone 12.
Yeah.
The thing
How
about
fitting.
iPhone footage,
We got Steve Jobs there too.
I shot it in these are the selects, so we kind of got to trim like the start and ending, right? Let's find a great example. Like I really like this.
This is still your iPhone?
Yeah.
That's
We
not
should
bad.
play the
What made
game. Is this your iPhone or is this not your iPhone?
We should. What made you shoot at the iPhone on set? Did you not have your A cam?
No, I shot the entire house with my regular camera and I made that video. But when I was there, I've been very curious with just iPhone filmmaking for several years, just playing around with the camera in your pocket, seeing how far you can stretch it. And especially with Apple's new Apple Log, everything that's been coming out with it is truly amazing. I mean, it seems worth it to upgrade if you're like a video nerd like me, because you have so much more flexibility when you shoot in log. Like you can see, the one drawback to this iPhone footage is probably it falls apart a little bit when you're kind of coloring it a bit. Like I can't put too much saturation. I can't like bring the highlights down if it's overexposed too much, right? But like if I play this back, the in-camera stabilization on iPhone is so good.
It's pretty gnarly. I agree.
That this, I mean, I'm over here warp stabilizing my camera, and
wait, so that wasn't warp stabilized.
This is out of iPhone, my friend.
Which iPhone are you using?
This I want to say it was like an 11 or a 12, because that was before I upgraded. I think I have a 13 now.
Yeah. That's pretty
So
funny.
I shot the whole thing. So the iPhone loses a little bit in like low light, right? But here's the movie theater. Can't forget the movie theater, guys. Your house always needs.
Is this still the same house we were looking at earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a very affordable house. Nice.
So you get these panning shots, and I mean, there's not a gimbal on this phone or anything like that. This is all handheld. You hold your phone and you just push in and you push out, and like kind of like you're like holding a hot cup of water where you're like, oh, I don't want to spill it. Like just kind of stay firm, and you can walk through a house and make natural panning up and down, left and right movements, and you can do you are a human gimbal with an iPhone.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I even use the 3x to get some like detail stuff. That's usually what you add into a wedding a real estate video as well.
Are you talking about the camera, the zoomed in one? Is that what you mean by 3x?
Yeah, like the 3x. So it's like just to show some like fun details.
Yeah.
So like here's like this. We definitely want to bring the exposure up a little bit. Saturation. Could even go into the curves. So yeah, I'm just always ever impressed with the phone in your pocket. And if, you're starting out making videos, it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of different YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And needing the best camera that costs $5,000. But I think the new iPhone that shoots log, you can probably get a decent version for under $1,000. And it's also your phone.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think when people get into video, they're so caught up in what's the right gear. And, we used to say the one that's in your pocket, but I think it's more true even to this day. I mean, they keep making the video features better and better and better. And it doesn't just have to be iPhone. I think you know, we use iPhone, so we talk about it a lot. Like I'm an iPhone user, Jacob's an iPhone user, but you know, even other makers, like the cameras and the recording quality that come out of phones in general, just pretty darn good, you know. And I think it's one of those things, if you're serious about it, just start shooting with your phone, because you most likely have a smartphone these days. And I think once you realize what you're shooting, like whether it's real estate, whether you're shooting landscape or you're shooting portrait stuff, then I think you could start to make more educated decisions on the gear you want to buy. Because, you know, at some point you're going to want to upgrade, because, you know, iPhones are great, but there's just a lot more customization and pro tools that come with professional gear. But, you know, once you start realizing and honing in on your craft, then I think that can make you decide what the right gear is for you, whether that's like Micro Four Thirds, whether you need full frame, all that jazz. Is this still iPhone?
I don't know. What does it seem like to the chat? And
Yeah, chat, let
Taco?
us know. Yeah, I like the game. Is it iPhone, or look at that glisten? Yeah, is this
I
iPhone
can
or is
full
this
screen it.
camera? Yeah, here, let me switch the shot. Hold on.
I should
Yeah, chat, let us know. You think this is iPhone, or what's your A cam? Are you GH6?
GH5S, I think, on this shoot, and I
Okay.
like playing with the GH6.
Yeah, so I'm
Okay,
gonna guess this
we'll
is
full screen
iPhone.
it.
Yeah, this is my guess. Wait for the glisten. Boom.
Actually, it's not in full resolution. Sorry.
Okay.
I should change the clip name so you guys really don't know and mix in some footage.
Oh, I didn't even notice a clip name. You gave it away, my friend.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna cut. That looks like iPhone to me.
This looks like iPhone. I think this is iPhone. Wait, go back to the other shot. The
wanna
glistening
show the clip
barbecue.
names.
Dang, I don't know now. Maybe this is
Yeah,
GH5.
what do we think, chat?
I originally said iPhone, but I'm taking it back now. Let's see what chat says. So we got a couple of people saying iPhone for both shots.
No.
No. I love just that. No. Are you muted, Jacob? I don't think I can hear you. Did you mute yourself?
Yeah, my dog was barking. Sorry. Come here,
Okay.
Harp. Come on stream. Making a big deal about everything. Come here.
All right, let's get a dog cam going. Here we go.
You know, when they interrupt, they just want to be a part of the stream.
Oh, look at that. Is this, you were telling me it was a Dachshund Chihuahua, right?
Yeah, this is a Chiweenie.
Chewie. I think
Okay,
he's saying, he or she.
She.
I think she's saying iPhone.
No more. Okay, and then okay, now everyone wants to be in. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. This
Oh,
is
we got
Marshall.
another doggo.
Marshall,
Okay.
look at the camera. There you go.
Marshall, what's up,
Okay.
Marshall?
So now that we've taken our break, hopefully everyone stops barking. I think they just were jealous. Back to it. Is it
so-
iPhone? What did the chat say?
The chat is saying iPhone. Yeah, I think for both of the shots that we're looking at, the grill and then, or the fireplace with the rocks and then the grill one.
Okay, that is correct. That makes
So
me sad.
both of them were
I
iPhone.
wish, I wish you guys could tell. I can't wait to shoot on the new Apple Log phone and really trick you guys. That could be a whole stream in and of itself.
But no, I mean, I think I said iPhone, but if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have thought that was iPhone. I thought I would think that was a GH5. Like I just can't tell these days. It's crazy. And is this iPhone? It's losing dynamic range here, I'd say.
The stream is making it more confusing.
It is, yeah. We're probably not watching in like 4K monitors.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this is GH5
This is GH5. Okay.
and this is iPhone. So you can kind of tell by the colors, which is why I'm so excited when, like I said, and I can't stop talking about it, when Apple Log comes out, or when I get it, it's already out. The colors and the clarity are normally the telltale signs of iPhone footage. You can just kind of tell that it over sharpens a little bit, and you can kind of just tell that it's iPhone footage. And so when you're able to color it yourself, all the saturation and everything is down, then it's good. It looks a lot
What's
better.
your okay? I got a question for you. What's your take on, let's say someone pays you to be a videographer. They're like, yeah, I got a great videographer, great experience. He's coming in, and then you just show up with an iPhone. What do you think they're gonna think? You think they're gonna be cool with
Like-
that? Or are you gonna charge the same package?
Like, how much does gear matter?
Yeah, because I do think there is an element when you're on set that you kind of got to look the part, right? Like if you got like the small rig cage, all these attachments, somebody will look over like, yeah, that's the videographer. But let's say you show up and then it's just you with an iPhone. Like you think they're going to take you seriously? I mean, I guarantee you once they see the product, they're going to be like, okay. But you know, that initial thought on set where they're like, this guy's just bringing a smartphone.
It plays a massive role, I would say, having something that looks legitimate. It's
I
why
agree.
you, especially if say you lived in Los Angeles, most crews would be like, do you shoot on red? And if you don't have a red, you won't get the gig
Yep.
because there's going to be another guy that has the red. So even if you had what I consider great cameras like Canon C70s, Panasonic GH5s, things like that, yes, a gear does matter for paying gigs. I think how it changes the landscape though is for the amount of videos that are being made for social media,
Right.
whether it is for clients for social media or not. The ability and quicker turnaround that you have with an iPhone is incredible.
Yeah.
The fact that it's already uploaded, similar to the camera, the cloud discussion, which I guess since we are
Yeah, we got
closing
about
in, we
15
can start
minutes,
talking
so yeah, maybe we can jump into that. But no,
Yeah.
I think that's very well said. I mean, I know your client, know the outlet. You know, there's just so much content consumed online now by content creators that you know you don't really need a red to film on YouTube. You know, and I think this is a whole nother conversation, but you kind of want the footage to look organic. It's based on the audience. But yeah, I mean, if you're showing up on a professional set, like, you know, in Los Angeles or the Bay Area, and, you know, you have talent, you have a gaffer, all that, then yes, you're going to want a very nice camera, whether it's red,
100%.
ARRI, all
But the lines are getting very blurred to
that. They are
what's
getting
considered
blurred.
a
That is
professional
a very
set.
good point. They're getting blurred more and more each year. I agree.
And that is actually where the arbitrage for iPhone filmmaking comes in, because the lines are so blurred. So my clientele, if they trusted me that I shot on an iPhone, I don't think that they would mind.
Especially once they see the footage, you know, I mean, here you are showing us two clips and we're like, is it a GH6 or an iPhone, you know?
Like maybe shooting the first one, there would be some hesitation. But what if I made a whole wedding video with an iPhone, which I'm planning to do at some point? What if I shot the whole thing? There would be a little hesitation with the client.
Yeah.
But what if that final product, I never even told prospective clients? What if I just said, this is my work, what do you think?
Yeah, they're not going to know. I agree.
And they would say, wow, this is awesome, let's hire you. And honestly, you kind of have to set expectations with clients. So
Right.
mentioning, hey, I'm an iPhone filmmaker. But what if that actually brings down the cost of your camera gear that you charge for? What if that means that the client actually doesn't have to pay as much?
Yeah,
You can
that's
still
something
keep
to
your
think
day
about.
rate, but
Right.
the client isn't paying as much because you're not using a $10,000 camera.
Right. And that's
You're
something
using
usually factor, right. That's something you usually factor into your rate because they're essentially renting the gear because it's your gear. And then, yeah, I mean, you factor into that rate, but maybe it's a little lower because it's an iPhone. I got to say something. Oliver has a very good solution to shooting on an iPhone. It's you just stick a red logo on it. You know, now it's a red iPhone.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you, Oliver, because that is the only way to really tell if it's red, is if someone tells you it's shot on red.
There you go. Yeah, put the shot on red on the iPhone. Best of both worlds right there.
Unless it's action sports, you don't need a red. Maybe get the ARRI Alexa. That's a beautiful camera.
Oh man, yeah. Great starting
So,
prices.
but
too.
yeah, I mean, I love this discussion because there is just, like I said, the lines are blurred. You can get work shooting on an iPhone. I guarantee it. You just have to make good work. And if
absolutely.
you had a good portfolio of those things, even if you shot those initial portfolio items for free, I guarantee you would be fully booked because A, your prices would be lower, because you don't have the overhead of tens of $1,000s of gear. And people would just love how how fast your turnaround is and how your things look. They wouldn't even question it. So yeah, what is important to us video nerds is a lot different than what's common to most, like, any like day-to-day consumer of someone watching content. People don't really think twice about it.
No, it's just got to look good, right? And that's
Yeah.
what we kind of were talking about at the beginning of the stream is, you used to have to like shoot in C-Log, color graded, but that just makes our post-work editing so much longer and harder. But with these like the S-Cine LUT or like the iPhone where you just right out of the camera, it looks great. All you got to focus on is just cutting it, right? You don't have to color grade it and make it pop, because that's just happening right out of the camera.
Totally. One other feature I did want to look at that's new in Premiere is these manage video effects plugins. So this is a new little tab in the effect controls panel. And like I said, I was installing back my Mac last night, and I realized that there's this video effects manager, and it's actually really useful because when I was installing some plugins, I was installing Neat Video, which kind of helps with
staple.
I've had that so for those who don't know, it's an incredible plugin that basically just denoises your footage. It's perfect for run and gun shots. It does a great job. But when I installed it and I was just kind of setting things up, Premiere, which I believe is a new feature, it said, hey, the reason Premiere crashed earlier was because of this plugin. Do you want us to just disable it for now? And I said, yes, I want you to disable this for now. I don't want my Premiere to crash. And so it unchecked it for me at login. And you're able to now control all the plugins that you have, and you can either disable all, enable all, and you just have that in your panel. That is really nice, because that is usually the reason why Premiere crashes, is not Premiere, it's other third-party plugins.
Yeah, and After Effects also has that. So that is a new feature with the latest releases. It's kind of like a safe mode, so to say. It just kind of lets you troubleshoot and take down things that don't work natively with the app, like plugins. So yeah, great troubleshooting turn. If you're having issues, it could be some outdated plugins that aren't just working well with your system and the app. So that feature will make it pretty easy to disable those and then see if that's the culprit.
Yeah, it's not the biggest issue, like when you have a sequence like this where it's just, here's a bunch of shots that aren't edited. But you take like the project Andrew was working on, like I think that GTA video.
That timeline was nuts.
You see that timeline?
That is a crazy
one little plugin. It's like that meme with the domino, and like that one plugin can mess up your whole project. Yeah. And so being able to disable things and things like that is always good troubleshooting when you are running into issues. I thought that was great that it just knew right away, like, hey, we saw this might be the issue. Let's get rid of it. So that way you can just enjoy and not have to deal with problems. So I thought that was a cool tip.
Making it easier for us. Oliver brings up a very good point. He says, you might even get more natural footage from a wedding with an iPhone because people are less aware of being filmed. You're catching them in a more candid instead of like a big old rig in front of their face.
Yeah, totally. One last thing I wanted to show was a plugin, if that's cool. Okay, it's called Autopod.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes, so we could do maybe a plugin or one more feature, but we'll see. We'll play by ear.
So I have a real estate team that I do a podcast for, and we have 3 cameras, as you'll see right here, and we have 4 audio tracks. I'm gonna drag these all in. Usually the podcast is like 20 to 30 minutes long. So it's a long time to edit, right?
That is a lot.
So I brought in all this stuff. I don't even like the colors. So even though it doesn't matter, I'm going to fix the colors, because that actually, fixing colors makes me stoked on the footage. And when I'm stoked on the footage,
it's easier to edit.
We all do a better job when we're happy, right?
Yeah.
So
did you have lights here, or are you just using the natural overhead lights?
No, I had like I have some small lights.
Yeah.
That I just bring for the podcast. I'm going to cool it down a little bit. Just some like really basic stuff, but I don't like things to look ugly if they don't have to. This looks a little too green. Okay, so Autopod. We're gonna go into extensions, and it's on their website. It's just called Autopod. It kind of did some viral stints on social media, a bunch of these things, like using this and people freaking out. And so I wanted to check it out, and it is free for the first 30 days, I believe. And let me show you this magic. So we have to enter the names of all the people speaking. So, and we take the track in which they're speaking. First thing we actually have to do is sync this footage. So I'm going to right click, synchronize, track 1. This is just going to synchronize.
That's another awesome feature inside of Adobe. Excuse me. It's just right click and synchronizing it. I remember having to match waveforms before this feature came out, but like that, and
pretty fast.
Right click, boom.
And
it's all synced now.
Yeah, exactly. So that is super clutch. And we have to just trim the ends because it doesn't like the ends. So, and then I'm just going to drag this audio over top the on-camera audio because that's the zoom.
Younger. And when I say younger, I'd say under the age.
Okay.
I actually.
No, you're not allowed to talk.
Okay. So now I strategically record all my channels, A1 through 4. I record them with in order left to right. So I know who to label because it actually wants me to type in their name. I know this sounds kind of insane, but we're going to go Ben, David. We actually have 4 speakers. So we're going to say 4 speakers.
What do you mean left?
And
when you say you record left to right, are you talking about showcasing the presenters on Talent, or what did you mean by that?
yeah, like, so take this wide shot.
Yeah.
I plug in the channels, the audio channels left to
I see
right.
what you mean.
So I
Okay,
remember
sorry.
who's
Got it.
who.
Smart.
So then it's really easy to drag in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Got it. Yeah.
And so I have Ben, David, Aaron, and Jeet. Then you'd have to tag your speakers. So so this was all for A1 through 4, right? Left to right of the speakers. And then we have the video. So the first ones are Ben. That's a funny thumbnail. We have Aaron and Jeet. That's V1. That layer. V2 is the wide. So that would be all speakers. And V3. And Harper, come here. Hey, come here. Sorry, Chihuahuas.
I could tell. Yeah. So Zoom. Okay. So the platform we're using to go live actually has like automatic barking or dog stuff on there. So it was cutting him out. Him, her. I forgot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I could hear something was going on, but
You
it
just
does a great
hear
job in
me
catching
yelling?
barks. You're like, what are you yelling at? But I could hear something that's funny. It actually works pretty well. I'm
Okay.
impressed.
I'm gonna grab the Chihuahua. Come here. Just so that way she's lappable for
There
these
we go.
things.
Lappable for
And
the
then
home stretch of the
we're gonna
show.
hit create multicam edit. We ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, we got to start on frame 0. Sorry, there's lots of rules. Look how fast it makes the cuts.
So is this syncing? Okay, I guess it'll answer my question, but
It's cutting the 3 cameras because we have a wide camera, a left camera on them.
oh, I see. So when someone speaks, it goes to their
Look at this.
camera. Oh, look at
Look
that.
at that.
That's crazy.
It's cutting the entire podcast for me. So then the only things that we have to do are just edit.
Edit what? It's already doing the editing for you.
Well, you still kind of gotta I mean,
right.
it's all done, but what you do get to do is successfully completed. So so all you need to do is typically with a podcast you would make like chapters or things like that,
Right.
and you're able to do that by just playing it back. So let's just see how
Yeah,
it
let's see the
did.
playback.
Candles are on a menorah.
So let me go right here.
You know, people see on Instagram, Facebook, or our post, you know, we're selling these nice houses, and they're like, well, I want $1 million house too. And it's like, you have to get over that stigma of what other people have and really
Okay, let's see.
maybe
What
some
you can actually see in the waveform.
looking at you.
Let's see. I think they talk over here. Cuts
And
the
then
wire.
let that just progress you.
Hell
All
yeah.
right, good stuff.
Unreal.
So
Starting point because it's a tangible asset, unlike
All right.
any other.
Well,
Who
I
did
think
you
we
cold
beat
call
that
with?
topic.
see,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. And how many cameras did you have for this? Did you have 3?
Nice.
3.
I think it's awesome.
And I noticed it actually on my walk. I was like, what the heck?
People are just planting trees.
Yeah, it was in Willow Glen. There.
There we go.
Yeah,
So
that's
that-
cool.
This is a 30-minute podcast for context.
Yeah.
This is 34 minutes long, and a plugin was able to.
I love these plugins that make our lives so much easier because we know these like tricks that we can do to shorten it, but for the client, just build the same. You know how long it takes to do it, and it's just making our lives so much easier. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're able to do a lot more. So I think that's really cool.
But I will say, so you did kind of have to frame the videos with this in mind, because you were tagging certain peoples on certain cameras. So make sure you're putting certain people on one cam, certain peak, and then a wide, obviously.
Well, you can select whoever's in the frame, right?
Right. Yeah. But like
the
one
only
cam, you had 2 people, and then you just got to make sure you tag those. Like I guess just have everybody in there.
Yeah, and it went away. But yeah, you're able to say there was only one speaker in the shot. You just kind of have to name your layers essentially,
Right.
and then it just does all the work for you. Before we go, I just wanted to talk about camera to cloud. When we were at
we got
Max,
about 3 minutes.
Cool. When we were at Max, there was a Fujifilm booth, the camera Fujifilm, and they have new cameras out. They have this little battery grip right here that goes on to some of their existing cameras that has not only Wi-Fi built in, but it has an Ethernet port.
That's wild.
And you're able to record, and it goes straight into Frame.io. And I actually have clients that I do this with in Austin, Texas. We have a remote podcast. And so I'll show you. It goes cloud devices. And whenever they hit record,
Go straight to Jacob.
all 3 cameras come straight to me.
That's nuts.
Hour and 30 minutes on one camera, and we have 3 different cameras. So there are so many options. Look at that. So we have all three cameras, and it sends directly. But this is using an Atomos monitor that goes to Frame.io. This changes the game because it's straight built into the camera.
Into the camera, right? You don't need that monitor. Goes straight.
You don't
from the
even need a
camera.
monitor. And so really makes me like Fujifilm because I think this is such a cool feature, especially like I have like an assistant editor that helps me with things. And so when we're in doing this, the fact that it just uploaded automatically is just incredible. I mean, I'm working with people in Texas, so it not only helps your current workflow, but it can help you think of different business ideas in the future.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty mainstream in a couple years, right? So, Frame.io is kind of running the charge here, spearheading it. But, I think, Wi-Fi was something that on a camera was like, what? But now a lot of new cameras have Wi-Fi, so you can transfer photos to your phone and then do quick uploads to the socials. But I think pretty soon, in a couple years, a lot of these cameras are just going to have a camera to cloud feature. So you can bring it straight there. And it just makes so much sense. I remember the days where you had to like ship hard drives, right? Like somebody from a different state would.
I think that's the marketing they have for this is no more shipping hard drives.
No more shipping. I know. I've been there. I've had to be there to be in person to deliver hard drives because it is such a special asset. And you're already kind of rolling the dice and even doing that because like a whole shoot relies on these drives that are being exported. So this is going to change the way that I think fundamentally even send footage to editors.
A RED camera, it does. I think the RED on the new update does proxies straight or full resolution, whatever you need.
Oh my goodness.
So
I love it.
It's cool, dude.
Yeah.
So
anyways, you already beat me to it, Jacob. I was going to say we're wrapping up here. So where can people find you? There it is at Jacob Phillips or his website, www.jacobphillips.media. Go ahead and check out Jacob. Follow him for any real estate wedding needs in the Bay Area. This is your guy. Jacob, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to host you on your debut as a guest on Adobe Live. He's been working with us for many years. And even before Adobe Live, he's been working with the studio team and started off as an intern. So some deep roots on Adobe. So I'm glad I finally bring you on here so people can see you and you can show the amazing work that you do.
This was a great stream, and thanks. So glad to be on it with you, Paco.
Yeah, that was fun. Like I said, we're video nerds, so we can talk shop all day. Could even do a podcast, just talk about video stuff. 'Cause we're just like that.
We just got to get people to listen is the problem. But thanks, Paco. This is great.
This is good. All right, y'all. Stay tuned because we have more Adobe Live content coming up next. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Peace.